when he comes to a P. Diddy party. This is what happens to the white man. When they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to them.
One of entertainment's biggest powerhouses comes crashing down.
I was up, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice.
Diddy just collapsed in court. His whole world came crashing down in seconds. A moment no one believed would ever arrive finally did. The judge stared him down and with a voice sharp as steel, dropped the hammer. Years behind bars, a sentence so heavy, so final. Even his loudest supporters couldn't say a word. The room went quiet. Reality hit him like a punch to the chest. There was no escaping this.
Released on bond, it didn't happen. They want to make sure this happens as quickly as possible. But what will he be sentenced to, really? That's the question. And also, will the government seize his assets? What about all of those civil lawsuits that he faces? Again, a lot of questions, a lot to get into. So for all of this, let me bring on former sex crimes prosecutor and criminal defense attorney, the great Matt Murphy is with us. Matt, good to see you.
Happy to be here, as always.
Got to ask you your reaction to the verdict. Is it what you expected?
Well, hearkening back to, I don't know, we were talking about this, you and I, a couple of months ago, and I got to say, you know, whether it's fun to be right or not in a case like this, we were both right. This was never a good fit for RICO for a lot of different reasons. And the consent element regarding the sex trafficking was always problematic. And I thought the prosecution here did a good job presenting their case. They did a good job presenting their theory. But when you match in a trial context, when you match like professorial and kind of plotting, which is the way a lot of government lawyers are, versus dynamic and engaging and that personality of the defense, it's always a mismatch. You're always up against it. And the Mann Act, like we talked about, I thought he was going down on that after like the second day of testimony. The problem is for the prosecution, the Mann Act is a very old law, and it was essentially legislative morality from about 100 years ago, where it was transporting prostitutes across state lines. The intent may have been good. It was essentially a very early version of sex trafficking, but it was really more an attempt to stop prostitution, which is, as we know, never going to happen. So almost every lonely guy in New York City who's going through a divorce, who is having a problem in the dating pool, who has some sex worker.
The courtroom froze. The mighty had fallen. This wasn't gossip. This wasn't online noise. This was the raw, undeniable collapse of one of the most powerful men in entertainment. The air was thick. You could feel it, every breath heavy. Diddy sat there, lawyers at his side, but none of them could stop what was coming. Not this time. The smirks were gone. The designer suits meant nothing now. What stood there was just a man who knew it was over. When the judge read the sentence, it wasn't just words. It was judgment. It was a reckoning. And Diddy, he didn't just sit through it. He broke. Physically, emotionally, spiritually. Years of secrets, lies, and silence came crashing down all at once. And the courtroom didn't explode. It went still. Like everyone knew, they were witnessing the fall of a titan. The charges? Brutal. Federal level. Backed by years of digging. Witness statements, leaked footage, testimonies. This wasn't built overnight.
If the case was, if they had called, let's say, Christina Korum, okay, this chief of staff who had been mentioned, I think, by almost every witness, and she said, hey, listen, there was a criminal enterprise, okay? We were all a part of it. Everybody knew what the job description was. My job was to do this. His job was to do this. You think they would have gotten racketeering? If they didn't include Jane, who was arguably the more problematic testimony, I mean, Sean Combs still paying her rent, messages that she was setting up a lot of these sexual encounters.
Digital trails, NDAs, hidden layers everywhere. This wasn't just a takedown, it was a full-blown demolition. And the prosecutors, they didn't flinch. One by one, the witnesses came forward. Not just nameless voices from the dark, but real people, faces, stories, each one shaking the courtroom walls. They spoke of parties that weren't parties, of control, blackmail, manipulation, and fear. They painted a picture of a man who used his fame like a weapon and wrapped his victims in gold-lined traps. Every story rang with one name, Diddy. It echoed like a curse. But it wasn't just about the parties. It was the tapes, the hidden cameras behind mirrors, the recordings, the whispers, moments of shame captured and used like ammo. The tapes were submitted as evidence. 50 Cent had warned us. For years, he said this day would come. He said there were tapes. People laughed. But now, the court confirmed it. 50 wasn't trolling. He was telling the future.
He had messages too that were problematic that showed if we're talking about whether she was a willing participant or not. But if you focus just on Cassie and you didn't call in Jane, or you didn't call in Amia, or you didn't call in a Brianna Bengolan, if you limited the case, and now it's so easy to play, Monday morning quarterback or armchair lawyer here. But do you feel that the prosecution could have won this case if they structured it differently, if they called different witnesses?
That's a great question, and that's something that these prosecutors will literally be wondering for the rest of their lives, for the rest of their careers. They're going to be wondering if they'd done it differently, would the impact upon the jury and would the result have been different. The fundamental problem, I think, is that this was kind of always a round peg in a square hole. The arson, that domestic violence video that we all watched, that's horrific. All of that should have been prosecuted as state crimes in Los Angeles. That as a fundamental, starting point.
Well, they couldn't do it now. It was
They
time barred.
No, of course, the statute is run on everything.
Yep.
But that would have been, he would have been prosecuted for exactly what he did instead of predicate acts into a RICO theory. Now, RICO, as we know, was designed for essentially mafia organization, for organized crime. And
the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Damian Williams, stood before the press and said the name out loud. 54-year-old Sean Combs, known to the world as Diddy, musician, producer, business mogul, once a king of hip-hop, now the center of a storm that shook the industry to its core, from fame and fortune to courtroom headlines.
And employees of that business and other close associates to get his way. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice.
U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York.
We did it! Harlem, we did it, motherfucker, we did it! The Bronx, we did it! Let's go! The key to the city! Yeah.
Diddy was born in Harlem after his father was murdered. He went to an all-boys Catholic school and then went off to Howard University. And that's when he started throwing these parties. And Diddy was always the life of the party.
What's up, y'all? Coming here live from London. Extremely humble, grateful, and blessed. Just got nominated for a Grammy.
Eventually, he obtained an internship at Uptown Records. And
male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Honoring Sean Diddy Combs.
Not only is he a rapper, not only is he a music mogul, this individual is a legend. Who knew that this bad boy was going to turn into a great man?
By 1990, he's working as a talent director for Uptown, but he hits it big 3 years later when he starts Bad Boy Entertainment. From there, it just explodes. He's signing people as a producer, big names like Notorious B.I.G., Usher, Mary J. Blige. It's music, it's fashion with Sean John, where he's a founder. He was literally the top of the world when it came to music, entertainment, alcohol, anything that he touched. He had the Midas touch.
Now, Sean Combs stands at the center of a federal indictment, accused of sex trafficking and racketeering. But how did we get here? To understand that, we have to rewind, back to where it all began. Diddy was born in Harlem, raised in the shadows of tragedy. His father was murdered when he was just a child. And from that corner of the city, a legend began to rise. But that rise came with a cost. Eventually, he landed an internship at Uptown Records, and that moment changed everything. It was the spark, the first real step into the world of music, the place where Diddy's climb truly began. From intern to industry powerhouse, this is where the legend took root.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so yeah, that's what's up.
As Combs' fame and fortune grew, so did his circle of friends, and word of his notorious parties quickly spread.
I've got a lot I can't tell. So, I can't tell that one either.
Everyone knew about the infamous Diddy parties. And at one point, everyone wanted to go to the parties because the who's who, the A-list would go to the parties. You can go down the list of celebrities who would go.
However, rumors were swirling that these parties, attended by some of entertainment's biggest names, weren't your typical soiree. They allegedly had a dark side.
I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did.
As these parties went on, people started noticing some allegedly illegal conduct or nefarious conduct that was happening.
Hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at.
There have always been whispers and rumors about what happens at Diddy's parties after midnight and how things can get really crazy, and also allegations of sexual assault and abuse.
We just got back to headquarters. Everybody take a shot. Sandy, was it DeLeon tequila?
These rumors and these stories would come up, but just as almost quickly as they'd come up, they'd often fall by the wayside. I think a lot of people looked the other way or just thought these stories were way too crazy to be true.
His empire reached far beyond just rap. Diddy wasn't only a performer, he was a builder, a mogul who turned music into fashion, fame into fortune, and his name into a brand. This wasn't just a career, it was a takeover. They read the texts, they played the wiretaps. There was no running from it. No spin, no PR stunt could save him. The judge didn't see a star. He saw a predator, a man who thought he was untouchable, a man who built an empire on silence, secrets, and shame. You used your power to destroy others, the judge said. Now it's your turn to face the consequences. And just like that, it was done. Years in prison, no suspended sentence, no house arrest, no loophole. Diddy is going to prison, period. The reaction was instant. His team tried to hold it together, but the panic was written all over their faces. His family broke down. Some fans wept. Others, they cheered. Because to them, this wasn't revenge. This was justice. This was balance, finally restored. And the industry felt it. Contracts disappeared. Brands cut ties. Radio stations deleted his tracks. Celebs who once smiled beside him, they vanished into silence.
You ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy. You know, where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. But it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. And we're gonna go full crazy.
Whether it be for hip hop, music, African American or black culture, Sean Combs has always been seen as a pillar of bringing it to the mainstream. You see individuals like Usher and even Justin Bieber who followed thereafter kind of coming through the roots of Sean Combs, through his tutelage, through his experience and through his connections.
People would bring their artists to Diddy, and we're starting to see videos of that.
But Diddy's rise wasn't all glory. Behind the fame, the lights, and the power, there were shadows. Over the years, his name kept surfacing in legal trouble. One of the most infamous moments? His arrest back in 1999. A turning point that showed the world Diddy wasn't untouchable after all. The empire collapsed like a house of cards. No more jets, no yachts, no VIP lounges, just cold bars, concrete walls, and a steel bunk. Reality hit hard. Diddy, once a mogul and icon, is now an inmate. 50 Cent didn't hold back. He posted Diddy's court sketch with a brutal caption. Told y'all, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And he wasn't wrong. This isn't about rap beef. It's about justice. The truth finally catching up. And while Diddy faces judgment, others in the industry are shaking. The files don't end with him. Names dropped, connections exposed. Prosecutors warned, more arrests are coming. The path to this courtroom was built on silence and fear. Victims told to stay quiet, pain buried under fame. But today, their voices were heard. This wasn't revenge. This was closure. It was a time when Sean Diddy Combs stood at the top, one of hip-hop's richest, most powerful moguls. He ruled the spotlight for decades. Through wins and scandals, he always found a way to bounce back. Until 2023. That year, everything started to fall apart. His grip on the industry began to slip, and it all started with one explosive lawsuit that changed everything.
I've settled $4.125 million with Diddy. Okay, but he's scared I was exposed. I seen the liquid cocaine, I've drank it myself. Having sex with Diddy and Cassie. Okay, it's not good. He drinks it all the time.
On an interview or go online and accuse someone of something. But the second there's a lawsuit involved, I think is a powerful, powerful move. Cassie was incredibly brave to put her story on paper.
In her civil lawsuit, Cassie said that she was the victim of abuse, sexual assault, and rape at the hands of Diddy.
As shocking as these revelations were, they weren't the first whispers we've heard. Back in 2018, something strange happened. A suspect being questioned in Florida, in a case totally unrelated to Diddy, suddenly dropped a name. And now, that moment might be one of the biggest clues of all.
Puff Daddy.
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call yourself.
Yeah.
Jonathan Odie is a sex worker, stripper, porn star, and in 2018 he was arrested for basically shooting up Donald Trump's Miami golf course. It's crazy, he gets arrested, and during the interrogation he says at the time, which sounds completely outlandish, that he was, and he does like the kind of air quotes, a sex slave to Diddy and his girlfriend Cassie.
He's part of what's called the Boule. The Boule is a branch of the Illuminati. I had settlement with Sean, okay? And he belongs to that agenda. That's why he's so famous. They land all the contracts.
Jonathan Odie had beef with Trump, with Obama. People didn't believe him when he said that he was involved with drug-fueled sex parties with Diddy.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot of business. I was like a sex slave, okay? For them, that's what I was.
He's some kind of just like low profile stripper, porn star, is a sex slave to Sean Combs. At the time, it sounds absolutely ridiculous.
Under the New York Survivors Act, the law allowed for people to be able to sue who were victims of sexual assault, no matter how far back it goes. So she filed, I think, probably the day before the deadline or the week of the deadline.
They finally saw the man who hurt them pay the price. Diddy's legal team tried everything. Fame, legacy, even genius. But the evidence didn't care. The judge didn't care. And the victims, they absolutely didn't care. Because power doesn't excuse evil. Success doesn't erase scars. Fame doesn't make you untouchable. The media lit up. Headlines hit like hammers. Photos of Diddy's hollow face. Footage of him in cuffs. The icon, gone. And this isn't the end. It's just the beginning. From bad boy to prison stripes. From platinum plaques to steel bars. From champagne to cold water and concrete. The irony? He once sang, "Can't nobody hold me down." Now, he's being held down for real. Fans are split. Some defend him, others delete his name. But the truth doesn't ask for belief. It just stands. Loud, brutal, final. Even protected voices are speaking. Collaborators are backing off. Friends going silent. Because this fall is a symbol. The GAM. This isn't the end of the story. It's the start of something new. A chapter where victims are finally heard. Where power doesn't guarantee protection. Where karma doesn't knock. It kicks the door down. Diddy thought the world would always love him. That fame, diamonds, and records could hide the truth. But pain doesn't stay buried. It waits. It grows. And when it erupts, it destroys everything in its path. Now, Diddy is alone, stripped of his image, stripped of his influence. All that's left are the consequences. No entourage, no music, no distractions. Just silence. Cold, echoing silence. This isn't just a fall, it's a collapse. A full-blown implosion of everything he built. The legacy is gone. The career is being rewritten in real time. History won't remember the hits. It'll remember the trial, the sentence, the breakdown. Because when you build an empire on pain, one day it comes back. And when it does, it's louder than any beat.